I really don't have any accurate recollection of when we did this video. It was either in the late summer or early autumn of last year, and I had been taken down to a bed and breakfast in Crawley in Sussex, a place I'd been to 2 or 3 times before, so it felt quite like going home again with Margaret and John. And the next day it was arranged that we would go and make the video, and so we went down to places that similarly, I'm sorry I can't remember, but on the south coast of England, with Dave, who is Dave Palmer, and he has a company that organises things for various artists, pop groups and people, where he arranges transport and offers security at gigs and things like that. And Alex Dillsman, who was a young man working for X-Phonics record company, and Colin, who I will tell you about later. Anyway, they found a site. I hadn't got much idea that they had any idea where they were going, but I'm sure they had an idea of the type of video they were going to do and the locations they were going to find. And we found a location for the first setup, and each time you go to a new location, of course, there's the lugging out of the equipment of the 2 cameramen, Dave and Alex, and I'll call him the sound man, Colin. And that went quite well, and we moved on to another venue, loading all the equipment back up again, of course, etc. And but the next location didn't go well at all. Or at least it didn't go well at all for me. In that, for this particular thing they'd got in mind, we were pretty well out in the public at a seaside place, and we were set up on a promenade, and my instructions were to walk to a certain point about 100 yards away, turn around and walk back. All the time that this is going on, Colin is a very large, lovely man, and he is our nurse, and he travels with us when we go on various foreign trips. And his job was to lug around a dirty great box, which I can only describe as a over enlarged CD player, but it was about 2 foot square by 3 feet tall, and it was heavy. And to get down to some of these beaches, we had to scramble down shingle, whatever. And so the music is all set up, and the music is playing, and I'm walking down to the other end, and so I turn around, and I'm walking back, thinking, oh God, I can see under the peripheral vision some children sort of on my right hand side, and I'm thinking, oh God, I hope they don't come and interfere. But I didn't have too much fear, because I think they'd have been frightened off by an old man singing to himself as he's walking along, like he's just escaped from a lunatic asylum or something. So I dismissed that, and keep your head up, Peter, look straight ahead, try and walk in a straight line. And then I see on the other side, I see a woman on the beach with a dog, and I get worried about that. And it's all going pretty terrible, really. And I'm thinking, oh God, I hope they don't ask me to do this twice, because there's no way I can manage more than 100 yards, and I'm trying not to limp. And then I'm thinking, this is the promenade, and into my head comes a song of Burlington Bertie, which you won't know, but it's and he walked along the promenade with an independent air, and you can hear the girls declare he must be a millionaire, etc., etc., etc. And so of course now I've got completely out of sync, and I'm thinking I can hardly hear the music. I expect everybody else all around can hear it, but I can't hear it. And am I singing the second verse or the first verse? And I'm thinking, well, what the hell does it matter? Because if they sent me all this way, it must be a long shot. They're not going to be focusing on me. So I'm still carrying on singing. And then
Oh, Grandad,
I need
calm down.
I
Please.
get the giggles.
You have a heart
well, I
attack.
don't. I control myself, and it's something I often do when I'm embarrassed, and it was the bane of my life as a schoolboy when I got into so much trouble for giggling in the wrong places. But I stumble on, and remembering not to look at the camera as I pass it on the way on the way past them, and well, the shot is finished and nobody really says anything, and I sort of not quite collapse, but I'm pleased for a rest, and glad that it was all over. Fortunately, they didn't ask me to do it again, so either they were satisfied with it or they would completely scrap it. But the next place we went to similarly didn't work out well. We found a place further down the promenade where there was this promenade shelter, and at the time there was a lady, just one lady, sitting in it, and she saw us setting up the cameras, and there was no music this time, and she scurried off, which was a shame because A, she didn't need to, and B, we would have been more polite and ask her if she could move to the other end. But so she scurried off, which left me sitting. And the idea was that they would set it up and I would sit in the shelter, and I would have to sit still for as long as they were going to give the exposure to their filming. And what they had in mind was that the public hopefully would walk by, and while they were walking by, I would be sitting absolutely still, and then they would speed up the film, so you would get the people walking by at a fast speed to indicate the passage of time or memory or things coming to an end and life coming to an end and what have you. Anyway, we couldn't get any of the public to walk by. Each time they sort of came anywhere near, they scurried off again, so that particular aspect didn't work. But it was terribly difficult sitting still all that time. I focused out to sea on some distant objects, and of course, as always happens as you're trying to sit still, absolutely still, wondering if your hands are still in the right place or if everything is as it was, you decide that it's time to go to the toilet, and that wasn't easy, but some footage was used from it, I know, from seeing the result, and so that passed okay. But so I thought, well, you've done pretty well, Peter, you've not blown it so far. And we moved on to another site, packed up all the equipment again, and moved on to another seaside, and I'm afraid this is where I did what shall I say blow it. So I'll tell you about that. once again we unloaded all the cars and humped all the equipment down to the seashore, and the scene was to be that I was to sit on this breakwater. There'd be close-up shots then of me singing the song. Colin humped down the dirty great box, and the music blared out for, fortunately, not many people to hear, because the only other people near to us were some fishermen behind the breakwater, and once again they took no notice at all. And so I'm sitting on the breakwater and the music's playing and I'm singing my song. Of course, obviously, I mean, I do sing the song because that's the only way to do it. But although my voice might have been recorded onto the cameras, I'm sure they would get rid of it and then they would blend everything in at the end, which I think is what was done. So and I get through to about the second verse, and I'm realizing that the waves are coming in and they're getting closer and closer and closer until I've got 1 foot submerged in water, and then I did blow it, and that was a definite retake. However, they were all very interesting incidents, and I think at the end of the day that they, from a whole day's filming, that they have put together a very nice video which has got quite the right mood for the song. And it was fortunate on this last location that the sun was getting low. There were a lot of nice reflections from the water, and they could use sort of silhouettes and things, which pleased me more than close-ups. And so I think they did a grand job, and I hope I haven't spoiled it for you by telling a few tales, but it was an interesting, what turned out to be 3 days. We returned home, and we went out for a meal in the evening, and then dear Colin, the next day, he actually drove me all the way home, a return journey of probably about 400 miles, and that was it really. As you know, and you can see from what I've just done, that I don't give much attention to my videos. What you get is what you see, or what you see is what you get. But of course lots of people do, and only last week 2 YouTubers named Dave and Johnny came up to do an interview with me, and I'd like to point you to that, because I think it's an example of a very, very professional video, and if I can sort of find out how to do it, I'll put you a link to that. So far too long, really. So I'll say goodbye, and I'll tell you another story another day. So till next time, goodbye.